Okay, so I'm going to share a little bit of my own personal journey with the inner yes and no. When you ask your body, show me a yes, and you ask it, should I do this? Give me a yes or no, whatever. So that journey with me, for me, has been quite tumultuous over, 20 something years. And I've learned a lot. And I've recently had some even more insights. Excuse me, I might need some water that I thought I would share with you that might be helpful. So I just want to, like 21 years ago, my very first spiritual teacher confirmed to me or said to me, your inner yes and no are switched. And throughout the years, I would ask, do my check-ins, and I would always feel a little bit like, wow, that's a yes. Okay. Or I would take action on a yes, and the results would never turn out the way I thought it would. And I would always question, like, shit, can I really trust what's going on here? I can't trust my inner yes and no. I can't trust my feelings, which is like terrible thing to say. Um, and what I discovered is, let's see, where do I want to begin here? First of all, when I did a check-in, I just want to say, for all of you human design people out there, absolutely, the strategies in human design are very, very, very helpful and accurate. However, what I'm learning is that you can be fooled, okay? That your own inner yes and no can be switched. And it's not really so much that it's switched, is that it can be overridden. And in part of my questioning process, I asked two questions that seemed contradictory, and I both got a yes. I asked, is the body response always correct? Yes. Then I asked, however, can the ego override the body response? Yes. So how can that be? If the body is always correct, how can when I say ego, the personality, ego, mind, personality, the lower mind, can override the body? And obviously it's been doing that since the beginning. The ego structure has been overriding our innate knowingness, since the building of our ego from 0 to 21. Yeah, sorry, just lost my train of thought. Where are we going with this? So it happens all the time. I mean, that's why we're in the state that we are, is because the mind has overridden the body consciousness. And it happens naturally, but for some people, it can really go awry, particularly when, well, anybody, but women in general, in a young age, who have had some kind of abuse happen, particularly in the sexual arena. Any kind of abuse, just something that kind of shattered your inner beingness, that made you question, oh, what I felt inside of me just got shattered. I can't trust myself. Your inner authority somehow, your inner trust in life and love got shattered somehow. And it really gets shattered when it happens to be in the sexual arena, because that is so connected to our creativity, our inner authority, our inner beingness, and just our inner well-being. And that's what I learned for myself. That was, and I recently just had to revisit that and heal that switch. So let's see, I'm going off topic. So if you've had trauma and you're having difficulty with your inner yeses and nos, and you're not a human design person, or it's not quite working for you, this may be the reason. Another reason why the body is always right, but we can't quite hear it correctly because the mind is overriding, it's just part of the journey. And I spoke briefly in another video. I think it's about, what is the video? The difference between tropical and sidereal gene keys chart. that as we go on this spiritual evolution, we go through a series of initiations. And those initiations are about soul infusion. Like we just don't come into this body and be already fully soul infused. It has to be embodied on a progressive level. And the first 3 initiations are just about that, bringing down, working on ourselves, dealing with our mental, emotional, physical bodies, and getting to a point of purity and spiritual awakening. Kundalini has to be involved, and she has to rise up to at least the upper brow. Anyway, and you have a spiritual awakening, and it isn't until the completion of the 3rd initiation and the probationary path before the 4th that you actually have full soul infusion, where now you can really, where the soul has authority over the personality. But up until that point, personality is still really in control. So it's really difficult. And all this time you've been getting yeses and yeses and yeses, thinking it's from the soul, and it may not have been. But it's all okay, right? It's all the learning experience. Because nearing the 3rd, within the 3rd initiation and that probationary period, what is it that's overriding our inner yes and no? It is those unconscious desires and attachments. And that's like the base of the entire ego structure. What are we striving for? What do we need? What are we attached to in life? And those things are really hard to ferret out. It takes a lot of work before you can actually see them. What is your motivating factor for everything that you do? And they are so strong because they are built, Gene Keys people, into the Venus sequence, into your emotional body. And so let's see, I'm good. Where do I want to go here? So where I was going wrong was when I was checking in with my body, asking it, please show me a yes, please show me a no. For the yeses are really so important. The no's, don't worry about. The inner yes that I was getting was this movement of energy. I could just feel it would be like whatever, right? And I thought, oh, that's brilliant. That's very clear yes. But actually, that was a personality yes. And so what I had to do, and I suggest if you're having difficulty with your inner yes and no's, or why not try it anyway, is that ask your body for a yes, and I know if you want, but then ask your soul or your higher self, whatever word you choose, ask your higher self or your soul to please indicate in the body it's yes and no, a soul yes and no, and move your move your attention. You'll feel the place that is beyond the lower mind and going into the higher mind, and talk to your higher self up there, because it kind of moves your attention out of the body where personality and lower mind, you're not attached to it at the moment, and ask the soul to show you a soul yes in this physical body. And if there's a difference, then you can see, right? That you may, each time you ask it from the soul perspective until they eventually merge. And that's what recently happened to me, because I was like, oh, what is happening? I'm still getting weird yeses and nos. And what I had to do was I had to ask the body to please show me the event that switched my inner yes and no, or just cut off that authority or that belief or that trust in life, whatever you want to call it. And it showed me the event. And yes, it was, just some event, abuse, whatever. And I had to see it. I had to feel that moment that everything kind of died inside of me, and where desires and attachments were beginning that were out of alignment from my inner truth, and I could feel it. And now my soul and body response are in alignment. Now, let's talk about feeling the difference between an ego or personality generated yes versus a soul yes. And well, you'll be able to feel the difference if you feel it differently when you ask the two different perspectives. When I asked, let's see, how did I ask the question? I first asked the question because how I now feel a yes. Here's the crazy thing. I don't even have to, at a certain point after the third initiation, asking an inner yes and no is irrelevant because you're fully soul infused, and the yes is obvious. You don't even have to ask because it's just, you're just flowing with it. There's no question. And the feeling is no feeling. It's just a movement. You're being moved by life, or there's no question. There's just silence. There's steadiness. There's no, when we say question, that comes with energy. That's a movement. Hold on. So it'll be clear in just a second. That's it. So I asked, is the soul yes response, is that felt by being, I can't see, it's really dark in here. I know it looks light, but it's dark. Is it shit, expansive and calm and expansive? And the sage said, indicated that I needed to reword my question. And I went, oh, okay, I get it. The soul yes is lacking movement. Ding, ding, ding. So when we feel movement in a response, we are still functioning in the astral psychic realm of emotion. That's our body that is full of attachments and desires, and it's the watery realm of consciousness, and that comes with movement, and that is emotionally and psychic based. When we move up into the higher realms of the higher self and the monadic self, there's less and less movement. There's actually no movement. There's just, well, you'll discover it for yourself. Okay. So let's see. Anything else I want to say? So, let's see. Yeah, when the soul is mostly infused, there's no need to ask. Let's see. Oh, and I also did what I discovered, maybe not relevant to you, but actually the soul does not give you a no response. It's the lack of response that is your no. At least that's what I got. Now, I could have been wrong on that, but what I got was that the soul will give you a yes response, and you'll feel the yes, you'll get it, but it won't give you a no response because free will and your own learning. I don't quite understand that, but maybe it'll make sense to you. I mean, I get it, but I'm thinking, wow, really? Can it give you a no response? But I don't think it can, because of where I don't think the soul can give you a negative response. A no response is a no response. Does that make sense? I don't know. Anyway, you'll figure it out. I think that's all I want to say. Anyway, so trust, if you work with human design, it's very good, but I would absolutely ask to be shown a soul yes versus a body yes. Hopefully for you, they are in sync and you're really clear, and that's a beautiful thing. But if there's been trauma, or you have I think I'm saying this correctly, in human design, like I do, a defined ego, which means really, I have a really strongly attached ego personality that wants to stay in control. You might need to do some checking, but particularly if you've had trauma, then please ask your body to show you where that inner yes and no went awry. Okay, I hope that was helpful. I hope I made sense. Okay, bye.